Ho! Hey friends, how's it going? Ash here, welcome back to Gents. Hope that you're doing well. I'm in a fan-freaking-tastic mood because right here in my hands, I have a little letter from Parfums Marley. Yeah, look, I even color coordinated. And we doing my full review on this little beauty right here. Set that to the side. But yeah, I got this letter from PDM letting me know that I'm going to be finally on their media list so that I don't have to buy these anymore. They're just gonna be sent to me. #blessed. So it's gonna be pretty sick because up until this point, I have gotten none of them. So I'm gonna share this, this moment with you guys. I just can't even. It says, go F yourself. Yourself. LOL. Motherfucker. So friends, yes, today we are taking a look at Parfums Marley Althair. This one right here. I got in not long after it came out, really. Got it from Lucky Scent and did some first impressions on it. Had some time since then to give it some more wear, especially as all the cold weather creeps in, which it has been creeping. And I wanted to give you guys just kind of like my updated opinion, updated take on this one right here. And no, that letter was not in fact from Parfums to Marley, but if it was, that would have been pretty sick, actually. I would have given them some props for that. So with this one, in the first impressions, I liked it, wasn't in love with it. Part of the reason was, to me, it initially came off as having this kind of like synthetic sweetness to it, which kind of cheapened the fragrance a bit. So not the exact same, but it reminded me a bit of a bunch of other fragrances out there. Like it had a similar kind of feel in the opening. The easiest one to point to is Dunhill Desire Red, but there are like 5 or 6 different fragrances that have this similar kind of like, again, synthetic, spicy, sweet feel in the opening that this one did. And that kind of turned me off a bit. So liked it, wasn't in love with it, and I actually did a top 15 PDM fragrance list back, I don't know, not that long ago, maybe a month ago. And truth be told, I was gonna put this at 10th in that list. And then as I was about to shoot, I went through and smelled everything again. I bumped it up to 8th, like right there. And I've been giving it more wear since then. So I figured it's a good time to go ahead and talk about it a little bit more in detail now. But before we start talking about the fragrance, we need to check out the presentation. Mine's seen better days. So here is my box. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward, nothing too fancy here. On the front, you have the name of the fragrance, name of the house, size and concentration, 125 mils, eau de parfum. On one side, it says that this is a distinctive ambery fragrance with warm notes of woods and vanilla. Nothing on the other side. On the back, you have a little info on the fragrance house itself. And then on the bottom, you have your batch code and your barcode. Batch code 3213094. And here is the bottle. It's got that nice kind of matte finish that a number of Parfums to Marley fragrances have, and kind of a burnt orange color. Truth be told, first time I saw this bottle, I didn't really like the coloration of it, which is not a big deal at all, but I was kind of iffy on it. And over time, that has grown on me a touch. On top of the cap, you have the Parfums to Marley logo, and then on the bottom, you have your sticker, your batch code. Let's go ahead and share a couple sprays, why don't we? There we go. Now, I'll have this one linked in the description below. It has not really been out long enough that you can consistently find this at discounters for a lowered price at this point, at least not that I've seen, but I'll link it down there. And also want to remind you the new code GS25, which is good for buy one, get one 25% off at fragflex.com. And you can scale that up. So the more that you buy, the more you save using the code. And that's the newest code in this big bunch of codes that you are currently seeing that you can use to save money at a bunch of different fragrance websites. So use those if you want to save some cheddar. All right, let's start talking about the fragrance, how it smells. Now, as I mentioned, the first time I got this in, first impressions, it had that kind of, again, synthetic sweetness to it that reminded me of a bunch of different fragrances. And the interesting thing about that is, as time has passed, when I spray this on, I no longer get that. The synthetic edge, that like almost syrup, like not the same scent profile, but you know how you have like soda syrup, cola syrup, orange soda, it doesn't matter, like the syrup, that kind of like heavily concentrated, like high fructose corn syrup kind of sweetness. That's what this gave me the first couple times I wore it when I first sprayed it on. Now, I do not know if this is in my mind, if this is something where I've gotten used to the opening and so I'm no longer keying in on that, or if this is one of those times where, and I truly sometimes hate this, but one of those times where you say, hey man, just let it sit for, you know, a few weeks and it's gonna really open up. And that did indeed happen. But when I spray this one on now, it is much richer, much bolder. It smells of higher quality, and that syrupy kind of off-putting feeling is not there when I spray it on. So instead, what do I get? Good amount of cinnamon, really nice, sweet, warm. Bourbon vanilla. Bourbon vanilla is there pretty much right at the beginning, kind of like swallows everything up. It's like a little bourbon vanilla cup that everything else is like playing inside of. And then you have some cardamom in there as well, mixing together with that cinnamon. So you get this really nice, appealing, very rich and sweet opening that's warm spices melding with that vanilla. It has a touch of freshness to it off the top as well. So you've got a little bergamot in there, you have this touch of citrus. And so when you very first spray it on, even though it is, at the end of the day, more of this warm, spicy, sexy, sweet kind of fragrance, you have a little bit of freshness initially, just providing a touch of counterbalance and helping lead you into the dry down. So this fragrance has a little bit of like sweet on top of sweet, really popular right now. So it has praline in the base. That's not gonna be ever like the focal point. The vanilla is what's gonna carry this one from the opening into the dry down, and that's really gonna probably make it or break it for you, whether or not you enjoy that vanilla or vanilla forward fragrances. But the praline adds like a touch of chocolate, like a little light chocolate touch underneath the vanilla as it starts to dry down. It has a bit of a woodiness that comes out also. In a way, like a very lightly peppery kind of woodiness. But again, that's gonna be working underneath that vanilla and those warm spices. It does change, it does evolve as it dries down, so it doesn't smell the exact same the whole way through. Even though that vanilla is kind of carrying it, you have that initial freshness, and the spice is much more loaded in the front, you know, much more prominent. And as it dries down, it becomes a little bit of a smoother, warm, kind of addictive scent profile. And that is one thing that I would say about this fragrance, is that it is addictive. It is addictive in the same way that like classic Coca-Cola, now I'm not talking about Coca-Cola Classic, right? Not like what you buy now. I'm talking about the, why don't we put a little Coke in our Coke? You know, because it's good for you. What could go wrong? Like that level of addictive, it's got some of that going on here. You know, throwing a little MSG in there where you smell it and you're just like, there's something about it. I don't know what it is, but it keeps me coming back. I haven't slept in 3 days, but it's got that going on. It really, truly is addictive. And the biggest part of the fragrance I did not like is gone now somehow. Like the fragrance goblins or gremlins showed up and removed it from my bottle and replaced it with something that is, like I said, much richer, more elegant. And it keeps like climbing my internal rankings of Parfums Marly. Legitimately, like I said, a month ago, I had this at 8th. And the more that I wear this as it's been chilling down here and getting pretty cold, especially in the evening, the more that kind of going for this, and I would bump this up, honestly getting close to like top 5 for me now. Still not above Leighton, still not above Herod, but like this is working its way up. And I believe that as more people can get their hands on this, especially if they're able to at a discounted rate, I think it's gonna have some legs. I think this is gonna be one that people wear for a long time. It's a compliment puller. The performance is solid, not like crazy beast mode, but it lasts a long time. It projects pretty well. So it's one of those deals that has a lot of versatility when it's cool outside. I absolutely would not wear this in spring or summer, not at all. I know that, you know, fragrances don't necessarily have seasons. You can really truly wear whatever you want, whenever you want, within reason. But for me personally, this is gonna be more like fall, winter. And it does lean maybe slightly more toward evening use, but I think that it ticks a lot of the boxes. You know, it has just the right amount of performance where you can pull it off in more situations. What I mean by that is if you have something that's crazy strong, then maybe you would decide not to wear that sometimes, or you'd go with like one spray or something. This one has that performance where it's gonna last a long time, but it's not going to necessarily choke people out unless you go crazy heavy. And then, as I said, it has that, you know, that kind of like date night, sexy allure to it, that kind of like inviting feel, that magnetic, again, addictive kind of scent profile where people just wanna catch a whiff, catch a whiff, catch a whiff, and in the air it smells awesome. So it's one of those times where first impressions, you enjoy something, but there's something in the scent that sticks out in a way that you don't like, something, maybe a note, you know, sticking out where you feel like it shouldn't, or it's not as smooth as you feel it should be, or whatever. And then given a little time, it kind of opens up. You get the whole thing, and that's how this feels to me. So for me, actually, you go back, because they don't do a crazy amount of releases. Parfums Marley, it's usually like, you know, 1 or 2 a year or whatever. We're talking men's releases. I think you got to go back to probably like Latent Exclusive before you find one that is better than this for me. Now, if you really like Sedley, Greenlee, Percival, and I had Sedley and Percival both above this one in that top 15 PDM video, I could see somebody putting those up above this if they have a preference for that type of scent, like a fresher fragrance. But this one is like, it's climbing. It may have passed those at this point for me, like I said. So there we go, Althair. This one keeps growing on me. It's like a tumor, it's like a fungus, it's like The Last of Us. And I guess I should say as well that the 2 perfumers who did this fragrance, I have actually done fragrances with, just to put that out there. So Hamed Muradi Kashani did Terra Nova, and then Ilias Urbanidis did Jet Black Enigma. Those are the 2 perfumers that did this one. I don't feel like that affects me at all, but maybe subconsciously it does. So just throwing that out there. All right, guys, that will do it for me. Really, really, really enjoying this one. It's growing on me a bunch. And honestly, I think the same thing is happening with a lot of you out there, because if you watch the popularity of this one on Fragrantica, when it released, you know, it was outside the top 10, then it crept into the top 10, talking about most popular releases of the year, and kept moving up, kept moving up, kept moving up. And right now, as of this video, number 2 most popular fragrance release of the year, just behind Le Male Elixir. So it really seems to be that type of scent where maybe on first blush, it's like, you know, I've smelled other things kind of like that, but then you go back to it and you go, wait a sec, there's something about this. I'm telling you, they put a little something in there. I don't know what it is, but keep coming back. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Stay safe. See you later. See you tomorrow with another fragrance video.